Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? This morning is Sunday morning, and I am decluttering some of my friends' files here. She left all these files in a file cabinet, and I've been going through them after I moved in, and I wanted to share with you something I found, which is very, very interesting. I have a couple of things that I've found that I would like to read with you guys in different videos. This is the first of many. Her parents both lived in this house for her whole life, and her mom was a Christian, and very, very active in the school district. She was head of PTA, and she had a bunch of PTA notes, which was very interesting. I'm not going to read those to you, but she did have some religious material in some of these file folders, and I'm keeping them because I think that it's just great for me to review and to understand. One of them was in the PTA folder. It was Religious Liberty, Public Education, and Future of American Democracy. And so I thought I would read this. It's a copy of a flyer. It's a statement of principles, it says. It's from the Freedom Forum, a First Amendment Center. And, you know, when I was going through my court battles, I really got into our Constitution and the rights that we have as American citizens. And what I was going through in court in my divorce was unconstitutional. I went to a constitutional lawyer, and he had stated this is what I needed to do to get out of the situation I was in. And it worked. It worked. I also, I got to get involved a little bit further into the justice system and how it works and how it runs, and realize that there's always a way to fight for unconstitutional rights. And I really wanted to fight for my kids' education, giving them a Christian education, and I ended up letting that go because my spouse did not want my child to have a Christian education, and as both of us claim to be Christians, I just thought that was a given, that as a Christian, you want your children to grow up and have Christian education. I also believed that divorce was wrong. In my case, as a Christian, there was no biblical reason for the divorce. And I really learned through divorce care, and I learned through counseling at church, and learned through the court system what my rights were as a Christian, what my rights are as a woman of faith, and, you know, the rights that were given to us by God in our country and in the law. And I'm a rule follower. I am not a lawbreaker. And you know, when we got divorced, we had a settlement agreement, and I followed the settlement agreement to a T. And that is why all the lies were made up, and to gain control and to take away from me. And I realized during that time that you can't stop evil. You can't stop evil and hateful people in your life. And you cannot stop others in their decisions. They may think that they are doing what's biblical and right, but they don't know what they're talking about half the time. Usually people who are hateful they don't care. They're just going to do what they want to do. And I've had to go through that the last couple of years. I don't know how you could be a lawyer and sleep at night knowing the truth and knowing what you're doing to people is taking away money maybe from someone who might be a single mom who might need that money to live because she's already low income. And you would want the child of a divorce to have a better life. But they don't care. And, it's wrong. It's wrong. The court system doesn't care about being equal, being right. It's just the business. And I came across this. It was part of a PTA membership, and it's the rights of liberty, of faith, and religious freedom in the school district. So I thought I'd read this real quick, and then I'm going to go to church. Okay? So it says, our nation urgently needs a reaffirmation of our shared commitment as American citizens to the guiding principles of the religious liberty clauses of the First Amendment to the Constitution. The rights and the responsibilities of the religious liberty clauses provide the civic framework within which we are able to debate our differences, to understand one another, and to forge public policies that serve the common good in public education. Today, many American communities are divided over educational philosophy, school reform, and the role of religion and values in our public schools. Conflict and debate are vital to democracy. Yet, if controversies about public education are to be advanced the best interests of the nation, then how we debate, and not only what we debate, is very crucial. And I became a member of Moms of America, and they also gave me a flyer that is kind of like this, and I should share that with you about our Bill of Rights and our freedoms for fighting for our families, our faith, and our freedom as Christian single moms. I also have joined Life of a Single Mom and that organization. Religious liberty for all. Religious liberty is an inalienable right of every person. The meaning of citizenship. Citizenship in a diverse society means living with our deepest differences and committing ourselves to work for public policies that are in the best interest of all individuals, all families, communities, and our nation. Number 3, public school belongs to all citizens. Public schools must model and demonstrate process of constitutional principles in the development of policies and curricula. Religious liberty and public schools. Public schools may not inculcate or inhabit religion. They must be places where religion and religious convictions are treated with fairness and respect. The relationship between parents and schools. Parents are recognized as having the primary... I'm going to reread this again. Parents are recognized as having the primary responsibility for the upbringing of their children, including education. It didn't say one parent, it said parents. That was taken away from me in my divorce. Conduct of public disputes. Civil debate, the cornerstone of a true democracy, is vital to the success of any effort to improve and reform America's public schools. There must be reform in public schools if you're going to have divorce and you're going to have parents who take the right and the freedom of speech and the parental rights away from the other parent. You're going to have reform in the school district. You're going to have change in the public school district. as a parent to fight for your child. Now, in my case, my son was going off to middle school this next year. And so he's on his own, guys. He's on his own. He's going to have to fight for his own faith and his own belief if he wants to. My son is at an age where parental rights are being taken away because of his age. He's just growing up. He's going to be fighting for his own freedoms and his own life that he wants to have. And in my case, what I was taught and what I fought for was the moment in court. After that, I did what was right, and I followed the rules of the court. I needed to fight to keep my settlement agreement because that's what we agreed was in our son's best interest. Not really to fight the lies, because they were lies. And I know as a Christian, God's the ultimate judge of the decisions that were made that are against God's word. Not no court, not no man, not no judge. And so when it came to my divorce, my marriage, I wanted to follow the biblical principles and that only. And you know, as a American citizen and as a Christian, this is what we have. We need to be able to fight for our children, our education of the children, and our faith, as long as they are still our children, until they reach the age of 18 and they become adults. But we need to teach our children about faith and freedom and fighting for what's right. And I would be a horrible mother if I was not teaching my kid this. And I would be a horrible mother if I didn't fight for this myself. And so there's a lot of changes in my life coming up. And as I'm getting organized in my home, as I am making decisions now as a single mom, I get to make decisions to help fight for other parents' children. And I get to fight for children in my life, whether it be my grandchild now. And I get to help make a difference in society, in law, and in the public school district, and in my community. And I have learned that I have a voice. Even if my ex-spouse says, you don't have a voice anymore, you can't decide where our child goes to school because I want to be in control. Or even if the court system says, you can't do this because we're going to give him, the father, all of the decision making. You know what? I still have a voice. It may not be for my own child anymore. He's on his own. He's going to have to fight. And the blood is no longer on my hands, how my kids turn out. I've done the mom thing. I've been a great mom. I've taught my kids about faith. I've taught my kids about love. I've taught my boys how to be godly men, whether or not they've had that role model in their life or not. I have taught my kids what it takes to be a single mom. I have fought hard. I've done what's right. And I am proud of myself. I am proud of myself for how far I have come. I have worked hard to keep my family intact. I love my boys unconditionally. I am not judgmental of my kiddos and the decisions they have made. Decisions that they have made or they are going to make in their life are their decisions. They are going to have to live with the results of their decisions, just as I have. I've had to live with the decisions of the men I have chose to marry. I have lived with the fact that I have not married Christian men in my life. As a Christian woman, that's all I have ever wanted is a Christian husband, a Christian family, a godly home. And now it's my responsibility solely to make sure that I have that in my house. And I'm working on it daily, trying to preserve faith, family, and freedom. And I'm going to leave you with this. This statement of principles is not an attempt to ignore or minimize differences that are important and abiding, but rather a reaffirmation of what we share as American citizens across our differences. Democratic citizenship does not require a compromise of our deepest convictions. We don't have to compromise, guys. We don't have to compromise in court. We don't have to compromise with our ex-spouses. We don't have to compromise with our children. We don't have to compromise with the public. We don't have to compromise with the law. We don't have to compromise with anyone. Our faith and our convictions of our faith. That's what I learned in my divorce. We invite all men and women of goodwill to join us in the PTA and in this community of fighting for faith, family, and freedom. In affirming these principles and putting them into action. You can't just talk about it. You actually got to start doing it, putting it into action. The time has come for us to work together for academic excellence, fairness, and shared civic values in our nation's schools. You guys, that's awesome. That is awesome. It's just a copy, but it was in my friend's mom's PTA folder. And, you know, it's inspiring to me. She has now passed and no longer living, but she was a Christian, a strong Christian for her faith. She was a good mom. And she did her part. You may think that you have a small voice because you're a single mom, but you don't have a small voice. You can actually make a difference. It may not be for your children, but it may be for your grandchildren. It may be for the future. It may just be for YouTube. Make a YouTube video. Share your thoughts. See if there's others that think like you. I get it. People don't think like me. People may not understand what I went through because they're not a single parent. They may not have been raised by a single parent. My children now are being raised by single parents. That is not what God intended in marriage. Not at all. But God says love is not boastful. It is not jealous. It is not hateful. It does not keep record of wrong. God says it will be faithful. It will be loving always, till death do you part. And when you say your vows in your marriage, and you're calling yourself a Christian, nothing can separate you from your spouse. Nothing. Because what God has put together, no man can separate. And I want to live a godly life as a Christian single mom. That's what this channel is going to be about, guys. It's not always about decluttering. It's not always going to be about my journey as a single mom. However, if I put this into action, this is part of my journey. This is part of my journey, is putting what I'm saying here on YouTube into action, making a difference. If I'm saying I want to go help others and I want to get involved in my community, that's what I need to be doing. Yes, I need to get my home in order, but I need to make time for this kind of action. And this is what my goals are for the next year. My home will be in order by the end of this year. And now it's time to stand up for my faith in 2026. So that is a preview of what 2026 is going to bring. And I wanted to share that with you today. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless. And I pray you have a great, great Sunday. Bye.